Quad 66. This is a little build and frame update, and so here's that 3-inch build that I've been working on, and here's it. It's all built up, and good God, this is the tightest build I have ever done. And it's actually, I mean, it's pretty neat. You know, I think it's super slick. It's super compact, and if you throw the battery lengthwise under there with a 300 milliamp, I mean, there's just like zero profile to it. But I mean, this kind of pushes the boundaries of what is, you know, realistically has any kind of quality of life to it. Because if this breaks, this is like you can't get in there really to work on stuff. I left the receiver kind of poking out that way to be able to access the bind button. And then sure enough, I finished up this build and I was trying to reuse this pigtail, and it was an old pigtail, and so I was messing with it and oops. So to do that, I've got to kind of pull things apart a little bit, probably desolder the capacitor, and pull things out to do that. So that was a little bit of a bummer because I was hoping this frame design, which you can't really see super well in there, but basically it is, you can see a little better on this one. So this was, I was trying to get to like kind of a universal frame, so a frame that I could build 1S, 2S on it, and I could do, you know, Whoop style boards, I could do 16 by 16 boards, and it didn't quite get there because, so on, if you're building 1S, if you're building on a Whoop style board, what you want is this to be kind of nice and tight and compact. And so on these, you know, 1S boards, the integrated boards, you can throw the VTX on there and you got plenty of room to build. This is nice and easy. Nothing to worry about there. But trying to do this 16 by 16 stack, or if you throw in the Whoop board and you got to do a receiver and a VTX, you could certainly cram a receiver in here, but it's tighter and it's messier. You're going to be stacking things on top of things, and maybe getting a little bit more interference issues, noise in your signal somewhere. So ultimately, I wanted to get it down to kind of the one design, but we're not quite there. It's just, I want this to still be optimal for 1S, and so what I'm going to do, like on this one, you can kind of see where this doesn't have the kind of universal hole drilling. So this is specific for the 25 by 25 Whoop style boards, and I'm going to do that for both. Obviously for, you know, for this 2-hole pattern, you know, for the 4-hole mount drilling, and also with the 3-hole pattern. So this one, I'm going to do the same thing where it's only 25 by 25 and do the 3-hole there. And so this will be in 114 millimeter. This will be 120 millimeter. And what's kind of neat about these is that there's enough room here to do a hole for, yeah, look at that. It's a Tiny Hawk board sitting there, and you can take the Tiny Hawk camera, stick it on there. So if you're tired of your Tiny Hawk like I was, you could build it up like this. And unfortunately, this isn't going to be flyable because I killed the board, but is what it is. It, you know, I was able to mock it up and kind of show it. You still would want to put some kind of support underneath here, because with just 2 screws, I know Primo does it, but this is a little, you know, wobbly in there. So I would kind of build up something under there. But anyways, if you have a Tiny Hawk board, this has the Hawk support. So what am I going to do for these? So on this one, what I'm going to have to do is take this frame, you know, kind of the, this is the 110, but I'll do it on the 120 frame. I'm not sure if I'll do it on 110 because these just don't seem to be that popular anymore. Everybody that's doing this kind of build kind of jumped to 3-inch prop rather than the 2.5-inch prop. Plus, anyways, you can ride a 2.5-inch prop on a frame that clears 3-inch props. Anyways, it's like kind of like no big deal. Maybe a little bit of weight, maybe a little bit extra size. But hey, if there's a huge demand, maybe I could do this anyways. But anyways, I will take this and still keep kind of this design. I'm just going to tuck it in a little bit. because on this, you can see with the 16 by 16 stack, there's just way too much daylight in there. And that could, you know, I've got enough room to where I have the receiver and a capacitor, and you could still get the rails around it, you know, from this canopy. So what I want to do is just keep this, but just tuck it in a little bit so that it's not quite as tight and impossible to build as this. I don't know. Maybe if somebody really wants to do this build, I could do like a special edition of this frame for these crazy 16 by 16 builds. But anyways, this is how it looks soldered up. I still gotta fix that pigtail, do some tuning, and then we'll get it to Ryder to fly it around and maiden it and see what he thinks. I'm really excited to see how these gnarly, what were these? These were the 1203s, how they do on 2S. I think it should be pretty good. Okay, until next time, cheers.